kind of weird.
Everybody will get ready. We'll get started here. If you find your seat, take your seat.
Yeah, I think so. Actually, I don't know.
Are we there? Okay. Okay. Again, welcome to the session here. We'll be covering tracks 12 and 13 today, and two sessions. Each one will be about a half hour. You'll be given, the presenters will be speaking for about 20, 25 minutes, and then you'll have an opportunity after each presentation to ask questions and discuss any issues from the presentation. And so we'll go ahead and get started. Our first speaker is Chlewicki, and he is, I apologize having to read this here, but I know Gil, but I think I'll stick with the facts on the paper here. And it says he's known internationally for his expertise on innovative intersections and interchanges. He has introduced 8 unique geometric designs, including the very popular Diverging diamond interchange, and has worked on a wide variety of projects involving innovative design throughout the country and the world. Less known about Gil, this is why pertaining to this conference here, is his knowledge on access management. He has worked for a period of time for Maryland State Highway Administration's Access Management Division, and has applied access management principles on many projects. Gil is a member of the Operational Effects of Geometrics Committee and was recently named to the Access Management Committee. So again, that's we'll enjoy having him as a member on that committee. And he's also the co-chair of TRB's Intersection Joint Subcommittee. So I will turn it over to Gil now for his presentation.
Thanks, Larry. So I think I have a double microphone here. Does that sound good? We're okay? Okay, good. So what I'm presenting over here is the relationship between access management and innovative geometric design. And what I hope to accomplish through this presentation is that you can see the similarities between access management and innovative geometric design and how they relate to each other and why it's important to think of both of them when you're thinking about some of your projects or situations. So defining what I would call an innovative geometric design, so there's different ways you can define it, but basically it's the coordination of the geometric features of a baseline intersection, interchange, or corridor to improve the safety and traffic flow based on the characteristics of traffic at a given location. So you see examples here, the continual intersection to the left, superstreets in the middle, DDI, diverging diamond interchange to the right. Basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to choreograph traffic in a way that, depending on the context, we can choreograph the traffic so the operations improve and the safety improve as well. The definition in the Access Management Manual, this is paraphrased just slightly, is the coordinating the planning, regulation, design of access between roadways and land development, and then just added to improve operations and safety. Basically, the objective is very, very similar, if not the same. And even the definition is almost the same. Really, if you just change the word land development to other roadways, it's almost the exact same definition. Maybe we could soften the regulation to policies, but otherwise it's really very similar definition. So here is a great example of the similarities between access management and innovative design. Is this an access management strategy, or is this an innovative intersection? For those of you who are in access management, this looks very familiar. We've been doing this for a long, long time, decades, where when you're coming out of the access road or the driveway, we often will have a closed median, so you can't go straight, you can't go left. You have to make a return and then make a U-turn back the other direction. Sometimes it's stop control, sometimes it's yield control. But this is something that we've done for many, many years as an access management technique. Now, innovative intersections has kind of stolen this idea and broadened it, where we actually have not only doing it as unsignalized, but we're actually doing it as signalized, and we're doing it instead of a driveway, we're doing it for a roadway. And here you can see in this example, it's a little dark here, but there's a triple right over here coming out, but they can only make a right turn over here. This is a double U-turn coming in the other direction. All the movements are signalized over here. So it's really taking the access management technique and kind of just expanding it tremendously into what we have, what's called a superstreet. Another big similarity between access management and innovative intersections and interchanges is the concept of reducing and spreading out conflicts. I think if you wanted to define access management in just a couple of words, reducing and spread out conflicts will probably get you most of the way there. But we're doing the same thing for innovative intersections. So you see on the left, we have a conventional intersection, very basic conflict point diagram where we have 32 conflict points. The middle one, you see the median U-turn intersection where we reduce the conflicts in half to 16. And what Federal Highway calls the RCUT, the restricted crossing U-turn intersection, which is the Superstreet J-turn concept, we have a reduction down to 14. What's even more impressive is that the crossing conflict points, which are the most dangerous conflicts where you have the severe crashes most often, they're reduced from 16 to 4 in the median U-turn intersection, where in the conventional you have it all bunched up together, and at the median U-turn it's still together, but you've reduced it by 3/4. And when you talk about the RCUT, really it says 2 here, but really it's just 1 conflict point in each intersection, because these 2 intersections are actually separated from each other. They're independent from each other. So going down from 16 conflict points down to 1 at your intersection is a huge benefit in terms of safety. We see the same thing also for diverging diamond interchanges, DDIs, where we go from 26 conflict points at a conventional diamond interchange and reduce it down to 14 conflict points at DDI. And not just reducing the conflict points overall, but we're also spreading them out. Instead of having all the conflict points stuck together right at the ramp terminal, we now have a little bit more spacing at the conflicts. And again, you see the crossing conflict points. We go down from 10 crossing conflict points, the most dangerous conflicts. We bring it down to 2 conflict points, 1 at each crossover intersection over here, the DDI. Another big common theme is the idea of networks. In access management, what we try to do a lot of times is we try to control the network, right? We're trying to figure out a way that we can have an internal network or build a network that really makes sense in terms of this context. If we don't control the access, then over time you see the driveways just go wherever they want to go. We're trying to control the networks in the access management. Well, in innovative design, we do the same exact thing, except that the network is a little bit different. Instead of building an internal network, we're building a mini network. So what we're doing is taking a big intersection and we're breaking it up to smaller intersections. So we're making that mini network work in a coordinated way to make all the traffic move as efficiently as possible based on the context. Other things that are very common is the spacing. Access management, we try to optimally space the driveways based on context. Innovative design, same thing, except we're doing it with intersections instead of driveways. For both, we're trying to create safer turning movements, particularly for left turns, which is the most common thing we're trying to design for. And there's also potential improvements for pedestrians and bicycles, and actually I'll let Chris talk a little bit more about that at the next session, the next presentation. In terms of safety, I think there's a lot of studies out there in terms of safety for access management. You can really pull different numbers. I just pulled something from Federal Highway showing that reduction of 5 to 23% crashes in 2-lane rural highways and over 25% reduction in severe crashes along urban suburban arterial roads. There's a lot of different studies out there. I just pulled this one out. But I think in general, we all understand that access management does produce a safer facility. For these innovative designs, one of the big scares was that these are new and these are unfamiliar, and so there'll be a lot of driver confusion. But we're finding more and more as we're starting to study the crash data that is not happening. Roundabouts we've now had for 25 plus years in the US, like real formal modern roundabouts, and the record is really remarkable, about 80% reduction in severe crashes on all roundabouts. We're talking about single lane and multi-lane. For J-turns, we're discovering that the reduction in crashes is tremendous. You see that these are CMF, so the 0.65, for those not familiar with CMF, how they work, the 0.65 means that compared to the conventional intersection, there'll be 0.652 amount of crashes. So basically a 35% reduction in crashes in this study. And you see here, it's actually a reduction even more. We're talking about 45% reduction in overall crashes. When we get to severe crashes, this study by Adara showed that it was over 50% reduction in the severe crashes, and there were no fatals in the study that he looked at. And Hummer had an even better record on his study over here, where it's almost 2/3 crashes were reduced, severe crashes were reduced. For the median U-turn, or which is often called the Michigan left, or in Michigan, although Ohio doesn't like that term. They choose the Buckeye. I don't know. They don't. We see a reduction in crashes as well overall. This is not a CMF. It's a little bit different way of this is the crash rate. So this is a 14% reduction in overall crashes. When we're talking about the injury crashes, we see a 30% reduction in overall injury crashes. So good safety record here for the median U-turns. DDIs, we're finding, again, I mean, you would think reducing kava points, spread them out, you're going to get better safety results, and we're seeing that now. Hummer, even though that's a year later, that's actually a longer project. He looked at the first DDIs in the country, and he showed that there was basically a 33% reduction in crashes with the DDI compared to the conventional. And when talking about severe crashes, that was about a 40% reduction in the severe crashes. Now, these were the first DDIs in the country. There was no guidance. These were built basically on engineering judgment and a little bit of copy and pasting. But overall, I mean, these are the very first ones out there. Looking at the study for Missouri, you can see there's a reduction in crashes are even better. So DDIs are really showing to be a great safety, has a great safety record. Just one last thing in terms of similarities, or two last things. When applied correctly, both access management and innovative design should improve operations and deliver great value. In terms of operations, you can decrease the delay. The signal coordination should be improved when you have it signalized. The reduction in congestion and the operations for peds and bikes, if you do design correctly, we're still working on that, but it should improve operations in most cases. And then the value is really where it's at, where I mentioned in the opening session how the trifecta of safety, operations, and value, you get all three of them, it really becomes a no-brainer. You see decreased right-of-way needs in both. You see decreased construction costs, and you can do a quicker implementation. So I want to just talk briefly, or a few minutes, on some of the levels of access management needed for some of these designs. So we'll start off with roundabouts. And probably some of you have seen this picture before, something very similar. One of the great things about roundabouts is the ease of U-turns. Because when you get to a roundabout, once you're in the roundabout, the U-turn has the right of way. So you can have, along the corridor of roundabouts, you can have a closed median, do right in, right out, and they just come out to the roundabout and make a very easy U-turn to complete the movement in that direction. Doesn't mean that we couldn't have this as an open section where they can make lefts in and out, but roundabouts really do help in terms of access management. Superstreets and J-turns. Here's an example. This is just south of Wilmington, North Carolina, in the southeast corner of the state. This is a superstreet corridor where it's basically over a mile of nothing but superstreet signals. So you have here a U-turn intersection, a left in only, U-turn, left in only, U-turn, left turn only. And you see that this is a big box stores over here, commercial over here as well, and the access points basically go into the superstreet. It's a fantastic corridor that really pushes traffic in and out very quickly. It's very easy to get into the shopping center. Coming out is a little bit more difficult because you got to go out of the way to make a left turn sometimes, but the stores already have your money, so they don't really care. Here's an example for the rural J-turn. This is in Wisconsin. This is in Brown County, I guess in the Green Bay area, where you see, again, from the side road, right out only, and then they use the U-turn to go the other way. Not showing the picture of the U-turn that direction. You see the access being used or being developed over here on the minor road, and that you have really good access control on the major road. Again, doesn't mean you can't have access on the major road, but really having really nice management of the access along the major road really lets the traffic go really smoothly here. US 24, I was actually out here 2 weeks ago, and if you want to see a wild corridor, go to Google Earth, go to the Detroit airport, find US 24, it's right near the airport, and just go up that corridor for about 10 to 20 miles, and you'll see nonstop Michigan lefts where you can't make the left turn directly over here. You have to use the median U-turns to complete the movement. So rights and throughs are okay, but lefts are not okay. You got to make the U-turn movements in the median. And you go to the US 24 corridor, not only do you see Michigan lefts, but you also see jug handles. You'll see quadrant roadways. You'll see continuous flow intersections. It's really a wild corridor in terms of innovative design. And what they've done, it's a lot of traffic through here as well. But talking about the driveways over here, the driveways all take advantage of the median U-turn. Now, could the drivers be spaced a little better in a lot of cases? Yeah, probably. But at least we have some elements of access management here. This is an example of an isolated location. This is about a mile from where I live in Silver Spring, Maryland. And you can see that the east-west route, Maryland 193, it widens out. And you have a U-turn over here. You just can't see the trees. It's kind of hard. But you can see it over here. There's U-turn over here. And actually, you have, this is a McDonald's. There's a 7-Eleven over here. This is a church. So you actually have development in the median. Now, this was a way to solve a very complex problem over here. People were waiting about 4 to 5 cycles. It's down to maybe 1 to 2 cycles. It's still not the best. This is outside DC, so traffic is always bad. You can't solve it completely, but really a great big improvement. And it really helps in the access management. Goes along with this median U-turn. This is an example in Utah, south of Salt Lake City. We were out there. We had a TRB conference in 2014 where we did a field trip to this location. The problem here was that you have a spooey interchange over here. The intersection was very close. And the left turns that were going over here, it was queuing back to the spooey, blocking the spooey, and then there was queues going back into the highway, to I-15. Big problem. So they decided to use that median U-turn concept, but they don't have a median here. You can see it's just a very narrow division between the movements. So they create these loons for the U-turn movements. And now if you're coming from here, you have to go straight and then use the loon to come back to the right, or you can actually make a right turn, do the loon, and go this way. So it solved the problem of the queuing over here. But what's interesting in terms of access is that they actually allow access in the loon over here. And here, the loon is actually part of a 3-legged intersection. So very complex problem over here. And they found a way to make it work. Again, is this perfect? No. But when you have stuff built up, this is ways you can actually make it work, which is what we're trying to do. Continuous flow intersections. I mentioned in the opening session, the most powerful at-grade intersection out there in terms of operations, because we can get the lefts and the throughs to all happen at the same exact time. The problem is we're not building many of them because it requires a really high level of access management. Why? Because we need to develop these left turn lanes and the right turn bypass, and it blocks possible access to those quadrants, on this side and this side. So we're only building these in locations, for the most part, where there's actually really good access or access control. And so we can build a lot more of these if we get better with access management. Now that being said, doesn't mean that we can't do it with access issues. This is the third CFI built in the US in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And you see here, there is a driveway that connects to the right turn bypass. And on this side, they needed to put in these frontage roads. Now, they did have a lot of space over here. It looks very confusing on the aerial. When you're out there, it looks a little bit confusing, but it actually does work. And a really interesting thing about this intersection is that when this opened right after Hurricane Katrina. So when this opened, the volumes here were more than the design year volume, because all the people from New Orleans moved to Baton Rouge. And this exploded with the volume. And even with the explosion in volume, it still worked operationally, and crashes were reduced, which is pretty amazing. Here's another example. This is east of Cincinnati, Ohio, and this is a mall over here, and you can see the access, the left turn bypass over here, this place left turn over here, the right turn bypass, and you have an access point over here too. So you can provide access on CFIs, but it's difficult. Quadrant roadways. The idea here is that you can't make a left turn at the main intersection. You have to use this quadrant roadway to accommodate your left turn movements. This is an example in Ohio where you can't make a left turn in any direction over here. You have to, if you want to make a left turn from here to there, you have to go up and around like that. If you want to make a left turn like that, you have to go up like that and that. So basically, the quadrant roadway is being used for the left turn movements. And I guess for this right turn as well for the bypass. That doesn't have any development here. But you see the quadrant roadway here. This is in Silver Spring, Maryland, where we don't allow the left turns this way or that way. But so what they have to do at this location is they have to use this quadrant roadway to complete left turn movements. And here you see there actually is a shopping center with access over here. So quadrant roadways can be used to not only improve your operations, but also improve access issues. And then here's a quadrant roadway in North Carolina where you see similar problem in Utah. You had an interchange too close to the intersection. The left turns were causing problems with the queuing. So they have now the left turns continuing through, going over here like that and back this around. They actually restricted the left turns in all directions over here. And you can see that there is development in that quadrant as well. And actually works really well in terms of managing the access. Jug handles, I think we're often forgetting about jug handles. We'll talk about innovative intersections. But I think they're very important because we do have a lot of them, particularly in New Jersey, where they're very, very common. But we do have jug handles throughout the country. Here's just showing the forward jug handle, the reverse jug handle. So here's a US 1 corridor. I'm going to show you two pictures for this corridor. This is to the south in Princeton, where you see the access is really well controlled along US 1, and you have the jug handle over here, and you have the jug handle over here. The trees are blocking a little bit. Controls access really well. Here, where we have more access, and we actually have driveways connecting, this is in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and you actually see here, this is a jug handle that goes, a reverse jug handle that goes around like this, and we actually have development inside the jug handle. And then here, this is a more simplified jug handle over here. Now, one of the things that jug handle does really well, similar to roundabouts, similar to median U-turns, it does U-turns really well. And so, you know, when someone mentioned at one of the committee meetings a while back that New Jersey has really good access management, I didn't think, at first I was like, really, it does? Because I drive through New Jersey all the time. But when you started thinking about it, there's a lot of corridors with jug handle corridors that has a divided highway. You can't make left turns anywhere, and you have to use the U-turns to complete your movement. So the driveways are all right in, right out in a lot of locations in these corridors. So it really does help out in terms of access management. And then for DDIs, we're not really worried about access between the ramp terminals, but we do have problems at adjacent intersections and driveways where the DDI sometimes is too efficient and it actually cues cars back into the DDI and then creates the problems. Kind of similar to what we're showing for some of these other designs. So one of the ways we've looked at improving the design is that next to the DDI here, this used to be an open intersection in all directions. They closed the median over here, and this is a hospital, so they really needed to have quick access. So they actually allow the right turn coming over here, and then it's kind of like a jug handle that goes underneath the roadway to get access to the hospital. So access management was important over here. Another location, this was a diamond interchange. The access road over here was very close to the interchange. With the DDI, they need to have a raised median over here, and this wouldn't work anymore. So you can see the construction that was starting over here to relocate the intersection, and that's what happened. This is the final product. The DDI over here, the axis is now moved over. So, I mean, for all interchanges, we do need to worry about the adjacent access issues. For DDIs, it is a little bit different, a little bit more specialized. And then just this is a DDI here where you can see there's roundabouts on the corridor as well. We can actually do a lot of stuff with DDIs with the innovative intersections next to it. I have a project right now where I have a DDI with a Superstreet on one side and a continuous flow intersection on the other side. So driver expectancy, signing, pavement marking, and visibility are issues for both. Business impacts, we mentioned it briefly in the opening session. What's the best location for certain businesses? And is isolated versus corridor implementation. If we do something that's in an isolated location, will it be better or worse compared to the next location? So in conclusion, access management and innovative designs are very much related. I hope you can see that. These designs can be used as part of the access management strategy. So Mark mentioned there are about 75 techniques we already have. Maybe these can be added on. And then just to show, access management techniques can improve the quality of the innovative designs, and vice versa. The innovative designs can improve the quality of access management.
Thank you, Gil. We have a little bit of time for questions for Gil on the presentation. So if you have a question, okay.
Yeah, Gil, I've gone as a pedestrian walk through some continuous flow intersections in Ohio. I think the one you showed in Cincinnati and out in Loveland, Colorado. While they work, they are a little confusing for a driver to work well. They seem pretty terrifying to me as a pedestrian. Are there things you've seen done to make them more pedestrian friendly? The one in Cincinnati has sidewalks, or are they really an application that should be more in an area where there are very few pedestrians?
Well, I got a mic off here also. Okay. So thanks for the question. I think Chris will talk more about that in his presentation. But to be honest with you, we've done a very poor job of design for peds and bikes at these innovative designs. I mean, part of the reason why is because we were so worried with the driver. We had to get those issues out first, and we were trying to solve that we had to get through that hurdle. I think we're over that hurdle now, and now we're really concentrating a lot on peds and bikes. So yes, some of these designs are actually done pretty poorly, but hopefully through this project that we're working on, and Chris will talk more about, we're going to hopefully improve the pedestrian quality at all these innovative designs, including CFIs, which I think can do a lot to improve.
Other questions?
Do you need to make accommodations for some emergency vehicles at the J-turns so they don't have to make that double additional distance?
We have on occasion. There's a Superstreet in Maryland, Crofton, Maryland, where we actually have a fire station in one of the quadrants, and there actually is a cut through for the fire trucks to go through there. So it can be done. It has been done. It doesn't always have to be done. I mean, if you have a small side road and there's nothing, emergency vehicle there, I mean, it bases on your context. But we can, what? Oh, probably 10 also in North Carolina. Yeah, that also has.
Just rule of thumb on when you, as far as like left turns, when you go from a conventional intersection to an alternate intersection, so engineers can. And how do you just quickly do a rule of thumb evaluation? You've got to do something different.
Right. So reading Chapter 10 of the Alternative Intersection Information Report I mentioned before, that's a methodology that will give you a good start. The Highway Capacity Manual now has the ability to look at CFIs, DDIs, superstreets, J-turns, median U-turns. That's all there as well. So we do have some quicker methods now that are available. Or you just call me up. Yeah.
To answer this question, I'm from Florida, Department of Transportation. Florida has a policy on ICE, intersection control evaluation. So we have to look at all alternatives from the beginning and take a look at the cost, feasibility, and many other things. And there are so many tools available that you use those tools and you get an idea of what type of intersection you would want to build for.
And certain states have developed tools, and Federal Highways have developed a tool called CapEx. They're looking into improving that tool as well. Virginia DOT has a really great tool. I would look at their tool as well.
So what Gil was talking about, I think you're talking about the tool Virginia Beach just.
Yeah.
So North Carolina is also developing a tool to look more at safety at some of these types of intersections, because we really don't have a lot of safety data, and conflict points alone is not enough to convince people. So there's kind of some intermediate measures that we're looking at to try and define how safe these types of intersections really are.
Okay, I think that's all we have time for right now. Do you want to pull this file up on the phone?
Oh, sure. You don't have.
Chris Cunningham will be coming up here, and I need your mic.